So in this video, I'm going to be showing you my gameplay and thought process on how I work on the No NFT lasagna build. This video is going to be long, and it's pretty much going to be a guide that's going to consist of multiple parts or multiple videos. So really, this is meant to teach you how I do it and maybe give you an idea on things you need to look out for when trying to design your own build. So hopefully it's going to be informative. I am going to be using townguide.eu's visualizer to design my builds, as well as show you how it's working in game. And the town guide visualizer, this tool is not public. You need permission from Gem in order to use it. There is a similar tool called Citadel of the Wind. It's a public visualizer for Townstar. However, that one is not up to date, and it doesn't have as many mechanics as this one has. But yeah, I'm just letting you know that I'm going to be using this to design my builds, and hopefully that just gives you an idea of how I am designing them. But pretty much, let's get into the details. It's going to be the lasagna competition, and we're going to be getting a plains biome, an ocean on the east and west sides, a mountain on the south side, and an open world edge on the north side. And the visualizer right here reflects that. Two oceans. The oceans give passive salty, as you can see. Mountain cast shady, up to 5 shady. And well, yeah, that's everything. This is how the biome setup's gonna look like at the start. And the meta is lasagna, so lasagna is boosted in both stars and cash. However, there is another item that is boosted in cash, and that's going to be salt. With that in mind, I am thinking that Salt Rush is going to be a very good idea to get started with. So I'm going to need to make windmills and salt fields, and I'm going to make sure the salt fields have enough passive water. They need 3 passive water, and that they're next to the ocean. That way they can have the fastest craft time. And I'm also going to need farmer houses to pick up the brine from the salt fields, and a silo nearby to place all that stuff down. So let me try to design a way where I can have salt fields and windmills on green craft timers. Usually what I like to do is have like a windmill right here next to the trade depot, because as you can see, there's no shade there. So I like putting a windmill there. That one could make salt, or maybe wheat flour for like 1 batch, considering we start off with 10 wheat and then we pick up more wheat. So maybe that. Otherwise, eventually it'll craft salt. So I'm going to need the salt fields next to the ocean, but I need to make sure that I give them enough water to grow. So I usually like doing this design where you have 2 ponds like that. And as you can see, there's 3 spots with at least 3 passive water. And that's going to allow me to place 3 salt fields to craft brine. I like that design. And if possible, I would like windmills nearby that are not being affected by shade, so I can craft salt as fast as possible. So I can put a windmill here and here, because there's not going to be any shade affected on them. I do need a road for them, of course, so there's going to be a road right in front. And eventually I will want to connect the roads like that, so they can get to the silo faster. Eventually the silo will be closer, but that's what I'm aiming for at the very beginning. So with this in mind, it's going to be 3 windmills eventually. I only need 1 at the start. But I do want to get those 2 ponds and then 3 salt fields. The ponds cost 10,000, the salt fields cost 1,250. And I'm definitely going to need 7,500 for at least 1 windmill. So what I'm thinking right now is that I'm going to have the first windmill making flour until I can sell one batch of flour. And in the meantime, I'm going to be building the 2 ponds. So let's see that plan in action, and hopefully it works out. So first thing I'm going to do is build the windmill right next to the trade depot. And yeah, if there's a paster in the way, then I'll just get rid of it. Sell it for some profits. I'm going to scroll down, build the windmill here. Builder is going to collect wood, bring it to the windmill. And, you know, whenever it's built, I'm going to start crafting flour. So I start with 10 wheat. And the farmer house is slowly going to manually water the wheat and collect more wheat. But I should be able to at least sell a batch of flour. In the meantime, I'm actually going to sell all these pasters because I'm going to be doing a salt rush. So I don't actually need these. Eventually, I'll have to buy them back. But when it gets to that point, I'll deal with it when it gets to that point. Right now, the more money at the start, the better. The faster this goes, basically. Also, one of the wheat fields here requires 2 water. The only one requires 1 water. Actually, I'm going to get rid of the one that requires 2 water. That way the farmer can just focus on this one. And yeah, in the meantime, I'm going to be deleting all of these while I wait for the windmill to build. Okay, so I fast forwarded that part. I sold all the pastures, the windmill's done, crafting flour until I can get a batch of flour. I did get a good amount of cash from selling all those things. So now I'm going to build the 2 ponds that I need for when I start doing the salt. And I just checked the visualizer to make sure that I have the ponds in the correct spot. So it's going to be here and one here. Yeah, it's going to take a while for the windmill to craft the 10 flour and also for the builder house to collect all the water it needs from the ponds. Actually, since water is being used on the wheat field as well, and I'm probably going to want more ponds later anyways, I'm going to be building out 2 more wells, just like that. It works for now. And I'm also going to need more wood for the flour and for other purposes later on. So I'm going to be making a lumberjack house nearby. Right here works. So yeah, at this point, it's going to take a while to get that done. So I'm going to go and look back at my visualizer and see what else I can work on in the future. So that's going to be like part 1. I'm going to try to make this into different stages if I can. So right here is going to be part 2 or stage 2. So I'm going to go to the stats page right here, and the Town Guide EU Visualizer has a calculator. So I already already looked up lasagna, and like, let's say I just want to see how many ingredients are required for 1 per hour. So right here, it shows me everything. I already had the idea that I'm going to need a lot of salt and milk for this design. So those are things that I want to focus on. It does say wheat is required, but that's not really true. It's thinking that I'm going to be using wheat on eggs, which I'm not. I'm going to be using meadows. But for like everything else, it does give me a good idea on what I need. But right now, I'm mostly focused about doing a salt rush just to get the cash that I need and getting set up for gas production. So eventually, I'm going to want more windmills for crafting salts. So I'm also going to want more salt fields, right? So this design that I'm planning to do up here, I can pretty much copy it and do it again. So that's going to require 2 more ponds, but it'll let me have 3 more salt fields, right? And then I could have another windmill. I just got to be careful that there's no shade in that spot. Yeah, So if I copy this design again, the windmill is actually gonna be affected by shade, so this wouldn't actually work. Now I could just copy this design and do it over here. That would work just fine because there's no shade over here. And you know, that's one thing that I might consider. So I'm just gonna go ahead and plan it out because at the moment, I think it would be a fine idea. Pretty much the exact thing I had on the left side, I'm doing on the right side. And yeah, they're gonna all be crafting brine so I can make salt. Right now, I'm not really taking into consideration the amount of salt that I would actually need. I'm just more focused about the fact that I'll be able to make enough salt to make cash quickly. So right there, that seems pretty good. That would get me like at least 7 windmills with a green craft timer. Now, I could probably somehow get another windmill here, but I would need to move the woodshed and the silo, which, yeah, I do plan on doing that eventually. So let me just see what it looks like if I get rid of those buildings. So these 3 spots wouldn't have any shade. Interesting. And maybe this windmill, I could probably move it closer. Yeah, I probably could. But let's see, what if I finish the road here and I add, say, another windmill right here? Yeah, that could work. And then where would I add the silo? So eventually I won't need the wheat. And oh yeah, I did add 2 wells, didn't I? I added 2 wells like that. And I added a lumberjack right there, which I'll probably end up moving anyways. But right now I'm thinking about where am I going to have the silo? Because they're going to have to make 4 trips to the silo. And you know, the farmers are all going to be going to the silo to deposit the brine. So I got to make sure that wherever I put the silo, it's not going to cast any shade to the windmills making salt. And I know that the silo casts 3 shade. I want to put it here somewhere in the middle. I'm kind of thinking here would be a good spot. I mean, it may not be a big move, like it was here, but if I keep it here, it's going to cast 1 shade there, and I don't want that. So I think here would be fine. And I could pretty much keep the same road structure there and just add like a big road in the middle. Yeah, I would have to move this farmhouse to connect this road, but that's fine. Where would I put the farmhouses? Just about anywhere, as long as it's not casting shade on any of the windmills. So yeah, I could do that. No, I couldn't put one there because it would cast shade on that. I could do those. I could do these. And I'll probably need more lumberjacks as well. I don't know how many, but 3 or 4. And what else? Let me see how the build's doing. 7 flour. Still working on the ponds. So far, so good. Go back to the design. So yeah, I like the windmill idea right now that I got going on here. Farmhouses, lumberjacks. I'm gonna need a place to possibly store wood to build more things. So I just put a woodshed as close to the trees as I can. So I think it should be like 7 trees here. Most of the trees are gonna be affected by shade, so I'm gonna need to figure out a way to grow more wood, basically. Maybe make a farm setup here. And yeah, eventually I'm gonna have to clear this space up so I can make crops here. But for the time being, like I said, I'm just focused on salt. So I think a woodshed right here would work. I could probably also have one over here. But right there is the idea for the woodshed. So right now I'm thinking this is all I need to start off a salt brush. And after this, I can think about what I need to look at to get to gas production. Now, I want my gas production on the close to the mountainside, because most of my crops are going to be on the north side because there's no mountain over there to cast shade on them. So yeah, I'm going to call the south side next to the mountain my industrial section. But let me see, for the time being, I'm almost at 10 flour. And I'm still working on these ponds. Yeah, the ponds are going to take a while. I'm going to put another builder house just to speed things up a bit. I don't think I can put one there because remember, eventually I'm going to have a windmill over there. But I could put one down here. Yeah, I'll put a builder house down here. So hopefully that'll speed up the watering of the ponds. Now after I get this flour, I'm gonna sell it. And I'm gonna focus more on trying to get this done. So I could craft another batch of 10 flour, but I'm not gonna bother. I'm just gonna change it to salt. I'm gonna sell a batch of flour. And with the money I'm getting, it's gonna help me out. I'll probably sell a batch of wheat too, since I'm about to hit 10 wheat. That would be a fine idea. So I'm going to spend more cash on building another build house. And you know, I pretty much have to wait for at least one of these ponds to finish, so that way I can put down some salt fields and they'll just need one water for the time being. Since that's gonna take a while, I guess I will keep working on my design idea right here. So I'm gonna call this part 2. I'll move on to part 3. On part 3, I want to focus on my idea for how I'm gonna set up gas production. Like I said, I want gas production touching the mountainside, and maybe I can take advantage of using the ocean instead of building a pond for my water pumps. But if I do that, it's gonna cast shade on the windmill, I'm pretty sure. But you know what? Let's try it out. Let's see how that works. So if I build... For sure, you need 2 water pumps for your gas setup. So if I put 2 water pumps like that, then the power plants would be like this, right next to the water pumps. Of course, power plants need a paved road. And it actually won't cast shade there. So that might work. Yeah, that might work. But I just have to be careful how I'm going to do this. So like, let's say I finish off the road like that. I'm going to want a refinery between the power plants and the water pumps. That's not a refinery. This is a refinery. I'm going to want a refinery in between all this. That's going to work on crafting gasoline. The refineries cast 4 shade, so they have a higher reach. So right now, with all this placed, there's going to be no shade touching the windmill. However, if I put a refinery here, it's going to start casting shade on it. I don't need a refinery there though, because I could actually just put it over here. It's still going to have passive energy and passive water drum. And I need that refinery there for the petroleum. Of course, it needs a road as well, so I'll just finish up the road design right there. So I like the way this is looking. I'll have my gas production here. And all these windmills should still be green craft timer, at least for now. I'm sure I'll have to figure out something else later. But yeah, right there is good. Usually you would want a lumber mill on one of these, on next to your water pump and close to your power plant, so you can make lumber. So that right there will work. It's still not going to cascade on that. And you're going to want a fuel storage usually close to your refinery crafting petroleum in a no NFT situation. So I would say like that. But one thing I realized is like these two spots, I'm not going to be able to use them for anything other than builders, which I'm not a fan of that. So I could actually also do this. I could put a road there and move the refinery over here, and then move the fuel storage here. As you can see, the refinery will still have to walk across one road, and then the refinery making gasoline isn't that far off. But that'll let me actually use this spot, and then the rest of the roads can look like that or something. We'll see once I get to that point. So yeah, I'm kind of liking this little setup right here. This in between the water pumps, all I can think of other than the trade pier is just put a builder house for now. Now over here, I can put a road here, and that's gonna allow me to put something else over here in these spots. I'm gonna clear that out for now. I just have to try to not put anything that casts shade on that windmill. Now let me go back to my build, see what's going on. So there's passive water for the brine. It's actually fastest craft time. The color right now is bugged, but 30 seconds is the fastest for the brine craft on salt fields. As you can see, the farmer is working on getting brine, and the windmill just crafted the first salt. So that's progress. So I'm going to, oh, I have it on quick buy. I'm going to place down the rest of the salt fields I have in mind. And it's cool. One windmill is working on salts. Right now, I'm thinking I am going to probably need a few more farmhouses to collect brine faster. So I want to get started on the road situation. I'm going to make a big road right here. And looking at my design, I have farmer houses pretty much right next to that rock. Farmhouses. So go back to the design. Next to that rock, on both sides, there's a farmhouse. So yeah, just need them to build. Builders working on that. Silo, I eventually do want to move it here. It's gonna cost me 10,000, so I'm gonna wait on that. These two farmers will help me get more brine, and then they'll be able to work on the salt quicker. So for right now, I'm just gonna leave it running until I can get enough to get 10 salts for more money. So right there seems to be a good idea. So going back to the design, still working out the idea for gas reduction here. Yeah, so I'm liking that. I'm gonna need crude oil pumps. I think they're just called oil pumps. Yeah, oil pumps. And these cast dirty, so they're not good for crops, but windmills don't care about dirty. So usually what I like to do is have oil pumps next to the windmills, because I know it won't affect them. So the exact amount of crude oil pumps that I'll need in the end, I'm not sure right now. But at the start, I know that I'm going to need more crude oil pumps than I would at the end because I'm going to be selling like a bunch of batches of salt. So 2 oil pumps right here is probably a really good idea for the end. But I know I'm going to need more than that for the time being. So maybe 2 more right there. You know what? I could also put another lumber mill here because I'm gonna be able to make more lumber to build everything else faster that way. So right there, that's a good idea actually. Lumber mill right there. And let's say a couple oil pumps all around. Oh, that's a tree actually. Well, eventually I'll get rid of that tree, I suppose. Yeah, that's fine. So there's a couple oil pumps, probably more than I need. But that's the idea for oil pumps, for lumber mills. Okay, and I'm still going to need a place to put a warehouse and energy because I need energy to make the lumber mill, the lumber, and I need the lumber to actually make the power plants. So warehouse shouldn't be too much of a problem. Just put it right there. That's fine. And I'm gonna need a wind turbine, which I'm just gonna need to make it in an area where there's no shade. And as you can see right here, there's actually no shade right there. It's out of the mountains range and it's not gonna be reached by any of the industrial stuff or the windmill. That's a great spot to put it at, right there. It's gonna give me all the energy I need to make this. No, yeah, I probably could make multiple wind turbines. It would probably help speed things up. So a good idea right here is 2 wind turbines. So it's gonna give me all my energy for all this stuff. So this looks like a solid plan to start off with. Now, how's it looking over here? 3 salt, 5 brine. It's looking pretty good, and I could possibly make another windmill before I run out of money. So since I have most of the roads over here, I'm going to put a road there and make another windmill. I'm barely going to have enough money, but hopefully I'll be able to make it to 10 salt since I'll have 2 windmills running for a while. Now, if I don't have enough, I can also sell these 2 ponds. I don't actually need these 2 ponds, so I could sell them for the extra 2,500. You know, I probably could have done that to speed things up, but right now I'm just leaving them alone for the time being. But if it does get to the point where I need to sell them, then I would just sell them because I already know I'm not going to need them. So let's see. This is 3 stages right here. Stage 1 is the first idea for what I'm doing right now. Stage 2 is going to be expanding the salt production. And stage 3 is going to be working towards the industrial setup. Okay. It's a good plan right here. Storehouse, it's in an okay spot. It's in the middle of everything. So I like the placement for the storehouse right there. Of course, if I need any more farmer houses or builders, I would just add them in. Or lumberjacks. The builders would be down here somewhere, maybe like 4 of them like that. This is temporary, of course. And same thing over here, just builders, builder, there we go. Okay. Okay. So that's pretty much all I'm gonna work on for part 1 of this guide. Gonna be my design on how I'm gonna do salt rush for this no NFT lasagna build and get to gas production. And then in the other parts, I'm going to continue working on the design on how I can get to build making actual lasagna. And then, yeah, from there, I'll probably continue to improve it. So this windmill gonna be crafting salt. So now I got 2 windmills working on them, but I have enough cash for like maybe 4 minutes worth of wages. So in the next 4 minutes, 3 minutes actually, yeah. In the next 3 minutes, I need to make sure I have 5 salt. Actually, I'll just sell the pawn. I already know I don't need the pawn, so I'm gonna sell it. Now I have plenty of time to get the remaining salts. And that's gonna give me a good amount of cash to continue expanding the build. Now I'm gonna put auto sell on for the salt, sell amount of 10. Shoot, I actually forgot to show you what I was doing here. And yeah, that might happen sometimes. So the only thing I didn't show off right here is the windmill got built. So that's gonna be working on salt. I sold the pawn right here. And yeah, I have enough cash to hold me on until I reach 10 salt. And I'm gonna go to auto sell and add salt with a sell at amount of 10. And I'm gonna make sure to turn auto sell. Okay, so really the rest of the build is going to see, the rest of the video, you're gonna see me just set up the plan in action. Okay, so I actually got to a point where I'm going to need more wood to continue building. That's because the wood that I am getting right now is being used up to make salt. So yeah, to do that, I'm gonna add more lumberjacks to continue getting trees. But I also wanted to come back and talk about how I'm gonna need to make a place to like put down a few ponds to actually make some tree farms, and also I'm gonna need oak tree farms for the water pumps that I'm gonna build. So let me open up Town Guide right here. So let's go back to stage 2 because this is what I'm working on right now. I'm gonna want a way to pretty much have an area where I'm gonna have trees. So like right here seems to be a good spot because there's no shade. So I can have 3 ponds like that. The one shade's being casted by that farmhouse. So maybe I don't want that farmhouse there. I'm gonna take off that farmer house. So 3 ponds like that would allow me to have 6 trees like this. And I could add more on another pond and actually have more tree farms like that. But I think this will do just fine for now. If I need to add more trees, then of course I'll add more ponds and more trees. But for now, the idea is that, and it's gonna look the same over here on stage 3. Now, the wind turbine that I am planning on having here is actually going to affect those trees. And also, yeah, the silo is also going to, no. Oh, sorry. I actually just put them in the wrong spot. So let me put a well back. Okay. So it's gonna look like this. Yeah, the wind turbine is gonna cast shade on all the bottom ones. So, you know, maybe just the one wind turbine. That would be better. I don't want to affect the trees or anything. Just the one wind turbine like that, and I have all these trees on the fastest craft timer. And one of these trees would just temporarily have to be oak wood. And then I know I have the woodshed over here, but I can just temporarily put down another woodshed over here somewhere. Or even if I have the money, make a lumber yard somewhere. But since I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to have the lumber yard just yet, it's just going to be a temporary woodshed pretty much right here. I can always move it around. It's not going to be expensive. But yeah, idea is to have an area for trees, and of course more lumberjacks. And you're gonna see me implement that right now. Couple more lumberjacks. I think I can do 2 more trees, 2 more roads. Yeah, 2 more roads, and 1 more lumberjack. Okay. And eventually I'll get rid of that well so that I can add 3 ponds. I'll be adding a pond here, here, and here. I'm gonna need more money in order to afford all the ponds. But for the time being, I'm just gonna build these 2. And I'm gonna keep fast forwarding it, and when I get enough money, I'll build this pond, and then you'll see me add the trees and get rid of this well and continue working on my idea for stage 2 right here. And then once I have all this set up, I'll work on stage 3, which is getting to the gas production. So I'm going to continue to fast forward it, and you can see my plan in action. Okay, and gas production is done. It took a little over 3 hours just to get to this point. Could have been done a little sooner if I paid more attention to it. I was letting it run in the background most of the time. So I'm just gonna explain a little bit of changes that I made that didn't exactly copy my visualizer idea right here. I think I needed more wood, so that's why I added more trees. I actually added 4 more tree farms. I can't really pinpoint it here. But as you can see in the actual game, I took advantage of the subgrid placement. And, oh, well, that one has too dirty now. But like, say over here, instead of just having one tree farm like this, I actually found that I could do 2 of them, just making sure they're half and half. Well, I suppose right here, actually, yeah, over here I could have just done. Yeah, it doesn't matter over here on this side. I could have just done this. Right? And over here, this one has 5 water and no shade, but if I would have moved it closer over here, it would have gotten 1 shade from the farmhouse. And then this one, it's not getting any shade, but it is getting too dirty from the oil pumps, which I need for the crude oil, to make the petroleum, for the gasoline. I'm not going to explain the entirety of the how gas production works in this video. I'm assuming that's something you already know, but it is part of the design process. So looking back at the design, I didn't actually include the worker house, but yes, you would need a worker house to pick up the energy to put in the warehouse. I didn't build out all the crude oil pumps. I actually built out 2 more loggers, 2 more lumberjacks, sorry, instead right here. So I didn't include those oil pumps yet. And I think that was it. I didn't actually get rid of this builder house on the top over here. And now that I have the fuel storage right here and all the gas production running, I don't actually need the fuel storage over here, so I can remove that one. So I remove that one from here. And there we go. All of this was just the first 3 stages. Pretty much this ended up being a guide on how to get from to gasoline production using the new biome for the Lasagna meta by doing salt rush that's been boosted. But when I get to part 2, you're gonna see me actually start working on how to transition to something else. Start trying to get the buildings I need to start making lasagna. For the most part, you're going to want to continue to sell. If you get to this point, you're going to want to continue to sell salts to keep gathering money so you can, keep building the other buildings that you need to do. But I'm going to end part 1 here and continue part 2 working further with the No NFT lasagna build. So hopefully you found this informative, and feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing if you haven't done so. I always appreciate your support, of course, and thanks for watching.